Let me ask you something. Are you trading for this month or for the next 30 years? Because the habits that earn applause today are often the same habits that bankrupt you tomorrow. Longevity in speculation is never an accident. It is engineered. It is constructed deliberately through discipline, restraint, patience, and the quiet mastery of self. Most traders never think that far ahead. They measure success in weeks. They measure progress in single trades. They celebrate streaks as if streaks were skill, but streaks fade, markets shift, conditions rotate, and the man who built his confidence on temporary momentum finds himself exhausted when momentum disappears. If you are here, listening to me, then I assume you want something greater than a moment. You want permanence. You want to build a trading life that survives bull markets, bear markets, sideways markets, and, more importantly, survives your own impulses. Before we go further, I want you to declare something publicly. Comment below. I trade for decades, not days. Identity shapes behavior. And if you begin to see yourself as a long-term operator, your decisions will begin to reflect that standard. And if you are serious about constructing that identity, go to the description and look at the 2 resources we created specifically for this journey. Thinking like Jesse Livermore, mastering the market with discipline, patience, and risk will reshape how you approach speculation at its core. And the Livermore Journal. A 90-day trading psychology workbook will give you the daily structure to build mental stamina. Do not simply consume information, build architecture. Now, understand this. Burnout does not arrive dramatically. It accumulates quietly. It begins when every trade feels urgent, when every move feels personal, when every red day feels like a threat to your competence. That emotional intensity sustained over months becomes fatigue. And fatigue clouds judgment. Clouded judgment invites mistakes. Mistakes create frustration, and frustration, repeated often enough, becomes surrender. The market does not defeat most men. Their own unmanaged emotions do. You must detach your identity from your outcomes. A loss is not a verdict on your intelligence. A win is not proof of superiority. Both are events within probability, nothing more. If you watched our previous lesson on why being smart makes you poor in trading, you already understand that intelligence without emotional control becomes a liability. The need to be right creates overexposure. Overexposure creates stress. Stress, sustained, creates burnout. The trader who lasts decades does not chase validation. He chases alignment. Alignment with trend, alignment with risk tolerance, alignment with temperament. When I made my largest fortunes, it was not because I traded constantly. It was because I waited. I waited for the market to confirm my thesis. I waited for conditions to favor decisive action. And once aligned, I sat tight. Sitting tight is not merely about holding a position. It is about holding your nerve. It is about resisting the impulse to interfere with probability. Most traders burn out because they cannot sit still. When the market is quiet, they feel unproductive. When volatility drops, they invent opportunities. They confuse activity with progress. But activity drains energy. Selectivity preserves it. Inactivity is a position. Let me say that again. Inactivity is a position. If your strategy does not require action, the most professional decision you can make is to do nothing. The public believes success in speculation comes from constant movement. In truth, it comes from disciplined restraint. And restraint conserves emotional capital. Emotional capital is more valuable than financial capital. You can recover from financial drawdowns. Emotional collapse is harder to rebuild. When your position size is so large that you cannot sleep, you are not trading, you are gambling with your nervous system. Sleep deprivation alone will sabotage clarity faster than any flawed strategy. This is why risk management is not merely mathematics, it is psychological design. If you have not yet watched our breakdown on managing risk to stay profitable, I strongly recommend it after this video, because proper sizing is what allows you to endure. When losses are tolerable, you remain rational. When you remain rational, you remain consistent. And consistency is what compounds over decades. Burnout also emerges from unrealistic timelines. Many traders attempt to compress 10 years of growth into one. They increase leverage, they overtrade, they abandon patience. And when the inevitable drawdown arrives, they feel betrayed as if the market violated an agreement that never existed. The market owes you nothing. It does not reward effort, it rewards discipline. And discipline is sustainable. Intensity is not. There is a difference between being committed and being consumed. Commitment is structured, it has boundaries, it includes rest, it respects process. Consumption is chaotic. It checks charts at midnight. It measures self-worth hourly. It cannot disconnect. If trading has invaded every corner of your life, you are building fragility, not strength. The trader who lasts decades builds rituals. He wakes at a consistent hour. He reviews with method. He journals without excuse. He steps away deliberately. That journaling process, the daily reflection on thoughts, impulses, deviations, is exactly why the Livermore Journal, a 90-day trading psychology workbook, exists. Without reflection, mistakes repeat unconsciously. With reflection, they become lessons. And if you have watched our video on aligning with the market and letting profits take care of themselves, you understand that forcing trades creates friction. Friction creates stress. Stress accumulates invisibly until one day you feel drained without knowing why. Alignment reduces friction. Friction causes fatigue. Fatigue distorts judgment. This is the chain that leads to burnout. Now I want you to examine your behavior honestly. Are you trading because your system signals opportunity? Or are you trading because you feel the need to participate? The difference determines whether you will last. Longevity is built through controlled engagement. You choose when to enter. You choose when to stand aside. You choose how much to risk. You choose when to disengage. The market does not dictate your emotional state unless you allow it to. Zoom out. Measure progress yearly, not daily. A business owner does not close his doors because of one slow week. He evaluates trends across quarters and years. You must adopt the same mindset. Daily fluctuations are noise. Your career is the signal. The man who trades for decades conserves himself. He understands that speculation is not a sprint. He paces his ambition. He tempers his aggression. He protects his clarity. And most importantly, he understands that the market will still be here tomorrow. The real question is, will your discipline? The man who endures in speculation does not merely survive the market, he survives himself. There will be seasons when everything you touch seems to turn to profit. Trends unfold cleanly. Breakouts follow through. Your timing feels impeccable. In those seasons, the temptation is subtle but dangerous. You begin to believe that you have evolved beyond error. You increase size slightly. You relax a rule here and there. You trust instinct over structure. And that is how exhaustion begins, not in failure but in success. Because success, when mismanaged, breeds overconfidence. Overconfidence breeds overexposure, and overexposure breeds emotional instability. If you are to trade for decades, you must remain humble in prosperity and steady in adversity. There will also be seasons when nothing works. Signals fail, markets chop sideways, trends reverse without warning. During those periods, doubt whispers constantly. You question your edge. You question your discipline. You question yourself. But understand this: unfavorable conditions are not personal attacks. They are environmental shifts. The trader who burns out interprets drawdowns as identity threats. The trader who endures interprets them as data. Data does not wound you, it informs you. This is why journaling is a weapon. When you use the Livermore Journal, a 90-day trading psychology workbook, you are converting emotion into observation. Instead of saying, "I feel like I've lost it," you analyze metrics, you review adherence, you assess whether losses fall within statistical norms. Structure eliminates drama. Drama drains energy. You must remove drama from your trading life. Now let us speak of something rarely discussed: nervous system management. Every trade you enter triggers physiological responses. Your body reacts to risk whether you acknowledge it or not. If you are constantly in a heightened state checking price every minute, Reacting to every fluctuation, your system never resets. Chronic activation leads to chronic fatigue. Fatigue leads to poor decisions. Poor decisions create further stress. It is a cycle that ends in burnout. The solution is intentional disengagement. Define trading hours. When they end, they end. Close the platform. Step away from screens. Engage in physical movement. Train your body. A strong body supports a stable mind. You cannot expect clarity if you neglect recovery. This is why the trader who lasts decades lives a balanced life. Not because balance sounds virtuous, but because imbalance is unsustainable. If trading is your only source of validation, every loss becomes existential. But if you cultivate other strengths, physical health, relationships, intellectual growth, the market loses its power to destabilize you. Diversify your identity. Another silent destroyer of longevity is comparison. You see others posting large gains. You hear stories of extraordinary months. You begin to feel behind. That urgency pushes you to increase risk. You attempt to accelerate your timeline. But compounding cannot be rushed. The trader who thinks in decades understands that steady slopes build greater mountains than sudden spikes. Ask yourself, would you rather have dramatic volatility or quiet consistency? The public applauds volatility. Wealth respects consistency. If you have watched our previous lesson, Stop Renting Your Trades, Own Your Conviction, you know that constant flipping creates constant stress. Conviction is not stubbornness, it is structured patience. It is entering with preparation and allowing time to work. Constant micro-adjustment is mentally exhausting. Simplicity sustains you. If you have not yet revisited our discussion on why profitable trading is simple but never easy, I urge you to do so after this video. Complexity increases cognitive load. The more variables you attempt to juggle, the faster you deplete mental energy. Now we reach the deepest layer: purpose. Why are you truly here? If your motivation is ego-driven to prove intelligence, to silence critics, to validate your self-worth, you will always feel pressure. Because proof is temporary, validation fades, and you will constantly seek the next win to refill the same void. That pursuit is exhausting. But if your motivation is mastery, the steady refinement of skill, your energy stabilizes. Mastery does not require constant excitement. It requires deliberate practice. It values incremental improvement. It celebrates adherence more than outcome. Redefine success. Success is not a spectacular month. Success is finishing a difficult month with discipline intact. Success is reducing exposure when conditions demand it. Success is honoring your rules when your emotions resist them. If you can end each year stronger in discipline than you began, you are on the path to decades. Now implement this immediately. Create a decade filter. Before taking any trade, ask yourself, if I traded this way for the next 10 years, would I survive? If the answer is no, if the size is reckless, if the entry is impulsive, if the reasoning is emotional, you step back. This single question eliminates countless destructive decisions. Normalize boredom. Sustainable trading is often uneventful. You wait, you observe, you execute sparingly, you allow compounding to operate quietly. If you crave constant excitement, you will sabotage stability. Let boredom become evidence of control. Humility must also become your companion. The market will humble you repeatedly. If you accept humility willingly, you adapt. If you resist it, you experience humiliation. Humility reduces size. Humility reassesses. Humility protects energy. Revenge trading, on the other hand, is emotional chaos. It is an attempt to restore ego through force, and force in speculation is fatal. Discipline protects energy. Energy preserved becomes longevity. Longevity becomes mastery, and mastery sustained over decades becomes legacy. So I ask you again, are you trading for applause or for endurance? Comment below. I am built for decades. Make that declaration real. Then, when this video ends, revisit the connected lessons on this channel. Watch again the breakdown on managing risk to stay profitable. Rewatch the teaching on aligning with the market. Study the discussion on why intelligence alone fails. Each lesson builds the same foundation, sustainability. And go to the description. Secure your copy of Thinking Like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk. Begin working through the Livermore Journal, a 90-day trading psychology workbook. Do not postpone the construction of your mental architecture. The market will still be here in 20 years. The only question is whether you will still have the discipline, the clarity, and the energy to meet it. Trade smaller than your ego demands. Wait longer than your impatience prefers. Rest more than your anxiety suggests. Think in decades, not days, because the man who conquers himself does not burn out. He endures, and the one who endures ultimately wins. And even now, as you listen, there is a quiet voice inside you asking whether you truly have the patience for this path. Because trading for decades is not glamorous. There are no headlines written about the man who followed his rules flawlessly for 15 years. There are no viral posts celebrating the trader who reduced size during hostile conditions and protected his capital. The world celebrates explosions. It rarely notices endurance. But endurance is where the real wealth lives. If you study every great operator who lasted, you will notice a pattern. They were not the most excited. They were not the loudest. They were not the most aggressive at all times. They were the most controlled. Control is not suppression. It is direction. It is choosing when to press and when to pause. It is recognizing that aggression is a tool, not a default setting. The trader who burns out operates at maximum intensity in all environments. He treats choppy markets like trending ones. He treats uncertain conditions like high-conviction opportunities. He fails to adapt exposure to environment. And adaptation is the cornerstone of longevity. You must develop what I call emotional elasticity. When conditions are favorable, you expand carefully. When conditions are hostile, you contract deliberately. Just as markets expand and contract, so must your participation. Rigidity exhausts you. Flexibility sustains you. And flexibility requires awareness of market context, and awareness of your internal state. There will be mornings when you are not clear, when your sleep was compromised, when personal matters weigh on your mind. On such days, the professional response is not to push through recklessly. It is to reduce exposure or step aside entirely. Your state determines your edge. If your mind is clouded, your probabilities diminish. This is not weakness, it is precision. Many traders pretend they are machines. They ignore fatigue. They ignore emotional residue from previous losses. They attempt to trade through it, and in doing so, they compound mistakes. Professional longevity requires self-honesty. If you are off balance, acknowledge it. If you are overconfident, recognize it. If you are frustrated, pause. The market is not going anywhere. Your clarity, however, can disappear quickly if abused. Let us speak about compounding, not only financial compounding, but behavioral compounding. Every disciplined decision strengthens the neural pathways that support discipline. Every impulsive decision strengthens impulsivity. You are not just trading positions, you are training your brain. Over years, those repetitions define you. If you consistently choose restraint over reaction, patience over urgency, structure over chaos, you will not only build capital, you will build character. And character is what survives volatility. This is why I urge you repeatedly to think in decades. When you think in days, you seek stimulation. When you think in weeks, you seek validation. When you think in months, you seek momentum. But when you think in decades, you seek sustainability. Sustainability changes everything. It changes how you size positions. It changes how you interpret losses. It changes how you celebrate wins. It changes how you define success. Success, in the context of decades, becomes remarkably simple. Stay solvent. Stay disciplined. Stay clear. Everything else is noise. Now let me leave you with something deeply practical, something you can carry into every trading session. Before you begin, ask yourself 3 questions. Am I calm? Am I aligned with my rules? Am I thinking long-term? If the answer to any of these is no, Adjust before you act. These three questions, repeated daily, will protect you from countless self-inflicted wounds. And understand this burnout is rarely the result of one catastrophic event. It is the result of accumulated micro-deviations, small rule breaks, slightly oversized positions, minor emotional trades justified in the moment. Small leaks sink ships, but small disciplines build empires. If you have followed this channel, you know that every lesson connects. The discussion on owning conviction, the breakdown on why intelligence alone fails, the teaching on aligning with the market, the explanation of why profitable trading is simple but never easy. Each one reinforces the same principle. Mastery of self precedes mastery of markets. Go back and revisit them. Study them not as isolated ideas, but as parts of a unified philosophy. And then take the next step seriously. In the description below, you will find Thinking Like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk. That book is a blueprint for long-term thinking. It will recalibrate how you see risk, how you see opportunity, how you see yourself. Alongside it, the Livermore Journal, a 90-day trading psychology workbook, will give you the daily execution framework. Because philosophy without practice fades, structure turns philosophy into habit. Do not delay this work. If you truly intend to trade for decades, you must construct your mind as carefully as you construct your portfolio. The market will tempt you with speed. It will tempt you with leverage. It will tempt you with urgency. But remember, urgency is the language of short-term thinkers. Patience is the language of legacy. So once more, I ask you, are you trading for applause or for endurance? Comment below. I am built for decades. Anchor that identity publicly. Then close this video and review your plan. Review your sizing. Review your routines. Make one adjustment today that supports the next 10 years. Because decades are not built in the future. They are built in today's decisions. Trade in such a way that your energy remains intact. Trade in such a way that your discipline grows stronger each year. Trade in such a way that when others burn out, you are just beginning to compound. The market rewards the man who can remain. Remain disciplined. Remain patient. Remain humble. Remain clear. And if you can remain, you will not merely survive the market. You will outlast it.